Hello. Good afternoon, everybody. I am Sharon Pinder and President and CEO of the Capital Region Minority Supply Development Council. I'm also the operator of the U.S. Department of Commerce, Virginia Minority Business Development Agency, the first MBDA center in the history of the Commonwealth of Virginia. Capital Region Minority Supply Development Council, or CRMSDC, as we're also known, is one of 23 regional affiliates of the National Minority Supply Development Council, the nation's premier agency for certifying minority-owned businesses across the country. We certify, develop, advocate for these businesses. This year is especially special, if that's a word, especially special, because we're excited because we're celebrating 50 years of developing, advocating, connecting minority businesses with contracting opportunities within the private sector. This month, we're celebrating Women's History Month, and over the last few weeks, we've been telling her story. Today, however, we are speaking with Ann Ramakumaran, but in case you missed any of those exciting, awesome, beautiful stories over the last month, go to our website, CRMSDCcares.com, and you can catch any previous podcast recording, any of our webinars. But I'm telling you, this History Month, as we told her story, has been like none other. Don't, hear me today, believe me tomorrow. I'm telling you, you want to go check that out. We're in our second season of this podcast, and we're enjoying our Hotchat podcast discussions. But before we get started with our conversation with Ann, let me take time to recognize some of our title sponsors. Our title sponsors include the Exelon Company, which includes BGE, an Exelon Company, Pepco, an Exelon Company, Capital One, and Ampcus. Collaboration Redefined. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. Of course, our MBDA Center and SB and Company, another one of our premier minority businesses. Ann Ramakumaran is founder and CEO of Ampcus Inc. and is a technology-savvy entrepreneur with more than 20 plus years of design, development, and delivery of innovative and leading-edge technology solutions and human capital management across the globe. Under her leadership, she has cultivated Ampcus and Ampcus group of companies into a fast-growing consulting and professional services organization. Now, we could be here just another day or two or week if we talk about all of Ann's accomplishments, but we try to ziplock that into like a small sampling. So just understand that's just a sampling. Over 12 consecutive years, she was honored as one of the 50 fastest growing women-owned and women-led businesses in the CONUS by the Women's President Organization, WPO. Ampcus has made the Inc. 500/5000 list and has been recognized as a top diversity business, and was also awarded Women in Technology Entrepreneur of the Year by WIT, which I believe is Women in Technology, and most recently was inducted into the Women Business Enterprise Hall of Fame. There's more. She CRMSDC Supplier of the Year. She has been NMSDC Supplier of the Year, NMSDC MBE of the Year, MBDA Minority Business Enterprise of the Year. In 2019, Ampcus became part of the NMSDC Elite Corporate Plus programs. We're going to talk about that as well. MBDA 2021 Minority Business Enterprise of the Year. Serves on several different boards, and we're blessed that she serves on our board. She is a speaker at numerous national and local and global conferences, and she has mentored. This is really important. I understand with all these accomplishments, she is one of the most generous people I've ever met. She gives from the heart and the soul, and she has mentored several women and minority startups to help them grow in business. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, as they always say, how about we start talking to this magnificent woman, Ann Ramakumaran. Hello, Ann.
Hi, Sharon, and thank you so very much for your kind words and introduction, Sharon. I can't tell you how excited I am to be joining you on this podcast conversation. And what a great way to celebrate Women's History Month. I salute you for a great leader that you are, Sharon, and must say all those Hotchat podcasts have been great. So, really thrilled and honored to be here this afternoon, joining you, Sharon, on this podcast session.
You know what, Ann? We are tremendously honored to have you. And I'm going to tell you why on several fronts. Well, first of all, that you've taken the time out of your very busy schedule to share, and that what you come to the table with, you know, people can really benefit, from those nuggets. And you probably drop nuggets that you don't even know you drop. But we want to get into a conversation with you because it's just magnificent to be able to talk to you and to understand who you are and to also share your success and that journey. And that's what we want to talk about. So I'm certainly grateful that you've opened yourself up to kind of sharing that information, because we want to dig into your DNA to see what we can walk away with, because you're definitely a blessed woman, but more importantly, you continue to bless others. Okay, so thank you. So Ann, I also want to mention that, as I mentioned, you're a member of our board of directors. But let's start out with, you're an entrepreneur. You've been in business how long?
18 years. This is
18
our
years.
18th years. Yeah, that's
Okay,
right.
so you're a relatively young woman. I know you're married with children, and we'll talk about that in a moment in terms of balancing. But when did you know that you wanted to be an entrepreneur?
Well, I think early on, right, Sharon? So, a little background about myself, Sharon. Born and raised in a city called Pune in India, um,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm sure you're aware of, the Bollywood city, Mumbai. So, Pune is a city which is close to Mumbai. And after my bachelor's and master's in business and commercial management, and after doing several courses on coding, started working for a headhunting and a consulting firm, which focused on identifying resources and identifying heads for several business units and helping some of the US based companies as well as European companies
But
set
you
up
were
their
doing
operations in India, right?
you were in India when you were
I
doing
was
it.
I was I was in so I started my entrepreneurial journey here in the US,
Okay.
but yes, I would want to be an entrepreneur. That piece triggered when I was back in India.
Okay.
So after my bachelor's and master's, when I started working for this headhunting firm and a consulting firm that focused on helping U.S. based companies and European companies, build and set up their operations in India. My role was to identify and bring in senior leaders like the CEO of Asia Pacific and the CEO or head of operations for several large businesses like GE, the
Hmm.
associates, and so on. And that's when I just realized, wow, what a great thing that would be if we think of bringing in people, process, infrastructure, innovation together. If we bring all that together, we will continue to be market leaders and will continue to bring positive impact in the marketplace. So fast forward, came to the United States 22 years ago after I
Why
got
did you come? Why did you come 22 years ago?
so I got married, and I and my husband decided to move to the United States,
Okay.
and would definitely say this, Sharon. This country is truly land of opportunities. There's so much that we all have learned and have achieved, and still a long way to go, but definitely a place where we can all make our dreams come true. So
Not to interrupt you, I just wanted, because this is an important part. And so you all decided that, so you were doing all these things for another company,
that's
but
right.
then you were going to leave there. Did you have that? Did you have a job when you left there in the U.S., or did you all just come on faith and decide? So how did you all make that decision and transition?
Yeah, so Sharon, my husband did, and I joined him here,
Okay.
and why I started working for another startup, and then in 2004 is when I realized and learned a lot about this possible opportunities that exists out here, and in 2004 timeframe is when Sharon I just learned that there are so many corporations out there that truly believe in supply diversity. That was a time when members of corporate America, agencies, and nonprofits were looking for suppliers, that were diverse. They were, putting policies in place to go ahead and increase their spend, and the ones who didn't have a policy in place were, putting a policy in place so that they could go ahead and include diverse suppliers as part of their supply base. And what I learned then was, Sharon, that there were a lot of companies that either existed providing business consulting services, there were many that provided technology solutions, and there were many that provided staffing services, but there weren't many that really existed then that focused on identifying what the business problem is and help them solve and navigate through that problem by infusing the right technology solution and help bring those projects to finish line by bringing in the right talent. Hence felt the need to start that company that would focus on providing business and technology consulting services, as well as focus on staff augmentation, which is human capital management. And here we are, 18 years in business. Today, we employ close to 2,000 employees globally, continue to grow at a rate of 40% year on year. And we support over 80 of the Fortune 100, Fortune 1000 corporations, and we are also prime to many of the federal agencies, state and local, as well as nonprofits.
Yeah, that's a lot to unpack. So let's wind back a bit. And so I certainly understand that you saw a niche and you saw a need and you kind of went after it. That was 18 years ago. And so when you started, did you start with a client? Did you start? I mean, how did you start the business? How did you fund it?
Started from scratch. Had
Mhm.
about $10,000 of personal money.
Okay.
Thought it was easy to get capital. Had started having conversation with the banks, but then you know how it is. They would want, in order to fund you, they wanted to make sure that you tie your house to it. But
Mhm.
I had started to have conversations with the banks, and started networking with friends and family. And, from a funding perspective, it was my own personal money. Did not take home salary for the first 6 months, and negotiated when I started working for one of the healthcare companies who were looking to bring in diverse suppliers to help them with ERP projects. I negotiated the contract with them so that we could get paid, and then once we get paid, we could go ahead and take care and pay our employees. So when we look back, it must say it has been an interesting journey, Sharon.
I would imagine. How many employees did you start out with? Because you talked about 2,000 now.
Right.
18 years later, how many did you start out with?
So Sharon, I started off myself for the first 6 months, and then hired another part-time resource, because I learned early on that if I had to focus in the business and start marketing, I will need to be out there talking to people. But
Mhm.
at the same time, had to make sure that there's continuous pipelining and sales that's happening. So hired a part-time employee, and then when we started to see that the pipeline was strong and there were more demand from an ERP perspective, started reaching out to some of the best consultants who could basically help some of our clients navigate through their challenge and help them in their implementation. So started off with one part-time employee, and then that eventually grew. And that time, Sharon, clients were pretty open of bringing in not only just W-2 employees, but also independent contractors. So started off working with some independent contractors first, and then monies earned, Sharon, were reinvested back in the company. And we then, focused on bringing in in-house subject matter experts, bring them on our payroll, in addition to bringing in independent contractors.
If you 20 years can be a long time, but it's a fast time. Can you remember when you crossed like your major threshold? Because some people say that the major threshold can be measured in dollars, or the major threshold could be measured in a sense of growth of number of employees or acquisition. Do you remember some of your aha moments when
Yes.
along the way, like in the first 5 years, kind of like what was that like?
So, Sharon, there were several aha moments, right? The first
Mm-hmm.
contract that I signed with a healthcare customer, I thought, wow, this is it. Life is going to be beautiful,
Okay.
right? But then you start to realize the way the contract was written is that once we go ahead and complete and help the client with that implementation, they would go ahead and convert our employees and contractors
Ah.
full time, right? But
Uh-huh.
went through those different lines within the contract and knew that's how it is going to be. But then again, right? I very early on knew I'm here to stay. My goal was to build an enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
So because I knew early on that's what the case is going to be. Like I said, money's earned. We invested back in the company and started working, and started reaching out to other corporations that were looking for ERP resources. So while we were providing solutions, also decided to go ahead and help customers from a staffing perspective. And in addition to this healthcare company, very soon signed up with a consulting firm and supported them from a human capital management perspective. And from there on, the journey has been great. Went ahead and then signed a contract with a telecom giant. And from there on, started to sign many other customers across industry segments. And then in 2006 timeframe, Sharon, is when I realized we were really doing well in the commercial space. In 2006, 2007 timeframe is when I realized we're so close to some of the key decision makers, the federal government,
Mm-hmm.
right? So why not take a plunge and explore the federal market? I learned early on that it's a little different. Federal government works a little differently. The way they procure goods and services is a little different. But started working. All our commercial contracts were prime. But in 2006, 2007 timeframe, what we started to do is started working as a subcontractor with a mid-size federal contracting company, learned the federal landscape, and then started to go and bid on some of the smaller dollar value contracts as a prime.
Mm-hmm.
Started off bidding on contracts which were $50,000 worth of contracts, and then slowly started to build the infrastructure to support federal customers. And then, step by step, right, started first bidding on a contract which is worth $1 million, went up to $5 million, $10 million, and now we have contracts which are over with the federal government, which is over $40 million, right? So definitely took that structured and strategic approach, Sharon, both for commercial as well as federal. So there were
So I want
several aha moments, Sharon.
yeah. I want to come back to, because you said some very key things. And as people are listening to us, and folks are trying to build their business, at what point did you outgrow your infrastructure? And then from a strategic standpoint, how often, did you, as you looked at, because I know there's a side of the business that's going to be always looking to meet payroll, always looking for that next relationship and contract and that kind of thing. But then there's that part at home, right? Meaning back at the business, that I if I'm bringing this stuff in, I got to make sure I can support it going out, so that my delivery channels work. I need to make sure that the base is there. And so how did you with the fast growth, how did you balance that piece?
Sharon, because the goal was to continue to build an enterprise,
Mm-hmm.
money is earned every single year, right? Money is earned after taking care of employees' salaries, bonuses, taxes, expenses. All the monies earned were reinvested back in the company.
Okay. Did
Hence,
you look at that? Did you look at that from a percentage standpoint? That if I brought this much money in, I'm investing. Was there a formula for you?
There wasn't really a formula,
Okay.
Sharon, but I knew that if we had to take the business and move, because what we saw even from a commercial perspective was that, Sharon, when clients were earlier procuring locally, then they wanted the suppliers to support them nationally and then globally. So if
Mhm.
that was the trend, I knew that it's very important that we continue to invest not just in people but in process and infrastructure and technology. And then whatever solutions and services we provided, we had to make sure it's innovative, and innovation comes at a cost, Sharon. So,
Yeah.
so that's why till date, Sharon, money is earned once after taking care of everything. It's reinvested back in the company. And then again, Sharon. We took the two-prong approach here, right? Be it in the commercial space or be it in the federal space. We first focused on building our expertise within a specific industry segment, continued to hire people that had the functional experience as well as the technical experience. While we continue to expand our presence within that industry segment, we also, because in this 18 years, Sharon, we've seen it
Mhm.
all. We've seen it all, I would say. We've seen government shutdown. We've seen
Sure. You've seen the economy go bust. Yeah.
we absolutely,
Yeah.
we've seen economic downturn. We've seen
Mhm.
corporations move. It's like the pendulum clock, right? Insourcing versus outsourcing, and then a cherry on the top, right? The pandemic, right? That hit 2020, right? So we've seen it all, but because we focused on building our expertise within a specific industry segment and also diversified, right? We've continued to, continue to grow, and because we've seen during these times that there were specific industries which went down, but the others were doing well. And because we continue to invest in people, process, and infrastructure, that really helped us to get to where we are today, Sharon. And that's what exactly I tell Sharon, all the companies that we mentor. Build expertise, expand your presence within that industry segment, but also focus on diversification because things keep changing, and like I said, we've seen it all in this 18 years.
Yeah. Talk about, and it's so interesting you said that because there's a couple of things I want you to talk about. The business continuity piece, because if you started what in 2006,
2004.
2004, and 2008, from the IT perspective, is when the economy tanked. IT companies they just failed left and right, and some of them. How did you survive that? And then when you talk about reinvesting back into the company and into your people, can you talk a little bit about that, more about that as well? Can you expound upon that a bit?
Sure. So, Sharon, you said it right, right? That was the time when I still remember that day when, I and my team were sitting down and having conversations with our clients, right?
Mhm.
We were getting calls left, right, and center. They were calling and not renegotiating the contracts, but they wanted us to work with them. So everywhere, all clients were talking about cost reduction, right? But then we knew that time is not here to stay for long.
Mm.
And we till date truly believe in supporting those who support us, Sharon. And we took that back to our employee base. We had conversations with our employees. We told that this has come from the client, and together we all sailed through. And you know what, Sharon, clients have seen that, and that's the reason why till date we've not lost any client, right? We've continued to build that trust, with all our clients, and we've stood by them during thick and thin, right? So we sailed through. I would not say it was easy, but would say we sailed through. And I think
Yeah.
Sharon, we also sailed through because monies earned were reinvested back in the company. Right.
Yes.
So that's why running payroll till date, right? Be it running payroll or opening up offices in the areas when our clients want us to, or expanding our geographical footprint. All of those has never been an issue, right?
Yeah. I wanted to hold up for just a moment
Sure.
because you reminded me of something. I remember I was running a software company back during that time, and it was the first time we had to deal with layoffs. or the threat of layoffs because contracts started, the IT economic downturn. And I recall that the first thing I had to do, to your point, you reminded me of that, was to talk to the employees and say that we had to take cuts, everybody across the board. It was either if we all take cuts or we have to start laying people off. And I will never forget that period of time in history, particularly the impact to the IT. And so it's interesting to hear you say that your strategy has always been a couple of things. And I want our listeners to hear that you've said a couple of times now that your vision was to build an enterprise. And I don't want that to be lost, because I think that to be, your success is, I think, directly related to the fact you had a vision that you wanted to be an enterprise. And these were hiccups along the way. And so I don't want that glossed over, because the reality is that there are the lowest lows and the highest highs in terms of their valleys. And so you were able to recoup during that time because of what I'm hearing, because of the relationships you had, number one, established with your clients, but secondly, internally, with those that you had established with your businesses.
Yeah, and our employees too, Sharon, right? I mean, we are who we are today.
Yeah.
We are who we are today because of the continued support of our clients, internal and external. Our employees who are awesome, right? Who I would say this, Sharon. Early on, you did say, we're blessed. Truly, we're blessed because we're surrounded by some amazing people who are very creative. We're very passionate, and the way when they work, the attitude is our client success is our success, right?
Awesome. So that's a culture. That's a culture you've built.
That is, but absolutely, culturally, that's how it is built. But then we've also surrounded ourselves with people who have that mindset, right? Who believe in it, right?
Well, and let me ask you a question.
Sharon, when they come to work, we put their head, heart, and soul to it, right? We've continued to create those magical moments. That's basically because we're surrounded by passionate people, backed it with innovative ideas, and the support of our clients.
So how do you,
all that three is what has led to creating magical moments internally and externally.
How would you advise people to create those magical moments when we're faced in an environment right now? The Great Resignation, and it's people talk about the attitudes of millennials. How do you create? I love that. How do you create that magical experience for your employees?
Yeah, so for us, even during this phase, we've continued to grow, thrive, and succeed. Sharon, we had an awesome record. In the month of February, we had 235 new hires. So it's been great. A couple of things that we really focus on is one, continuous touch points with our employees. We have an employee engagement team that we have leaders who we've made sure that all our leaders are real passionate people, because when you have passionate leaders, they will you will see how that trickles down across business units, across different levels. So one, we've invested heavily in people. Second, Sharon, our growth has till about last couple of years has been all organic, but for the last couple of years, our growth has been organic as well as inorganic. So when employees come join us, they have because we have such a large client base, when they roll out from one project to the other project, they're never on bench, because we have our employee engagement team having continuous touch points with our employees, and we identify the right project for them before even the one that they're on comes to an end, right?
Okay.
So it's a smooth transition once they're on a particular project, and then they move on to the others. And then the other thing is our retention has been very high, Sharon, and our employees refer us to other employees too, right? So So there are a lot of referrals, that our clients have referred us to other clients. Our employees have been very kind, and they've brought in their friends, family, relatives, everyone. So we've continued to grow, even during this phase of Great Resignation. Like I said, just the month of Feb alone, we had 235 new hires. And then the other thing is, Sharon, like I said, right, we invest heavily in people, process, and infrastructure. But Sharon, we've also, the one thing that all of us at Ampcus believe in is that we all need to be student for life. So what we really emphasize and focus on is getting our employees certified on newer technologies, and we invest in that.
Okay.
So that is another thing. So one, they have access to the client base, which is awesome. The second thing is we invest in them, right? Because especially from a technology perspective, Sharon, it changes rapidly, right? So investing in our employees and bringing them up to speed, and giving them access to our innovation lab. Sharon, as you're aware, we have our own innovation lab where we help our clients move the needle from ideation to full-blown implementation, and ideation to commercialization.
I remember seeing that lab
So
at
there's
your location. And the other thing I recall is that you've moved like 3 or 4 times because you keep running out of space. And I guess so, when you bring on 200 people and you got 2,000 employees. Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
So another touch point, or another, I guess, milestone you talked about initially, which is interesting in this area, which is, we sit in the biggest seat of government. Your first approach was with the commercial sector.
Mm-hmm.
And then you decided one day, you said, I'm sitting here in the government sector, why not do that? And so you forayed into that, which is awesome. And that still was in the DMV area. How did you figure out to then, when your growth then took you out of the DMV into, I know that you're in Atlanta, you're in Chicago, you're in different places around the country. I wanted to know what was that decision point like? And then what was the decision point like when you decided to go international?
Yeah, so Sharon, I would say I'm sure you would have seen that in the last 15, 20 years, right, Sharon?
Mm-hmm.
Clients are no longer procuring goods and services locally. We've seen that needle move from local to national to global. So as and when they moved, we moved with them, right? So and again, we started to expand our geographical footprint. Some of our customer support office centers came through acquisition, because with acquisition comes people, with acquisition comes the clients, and with acquisition comes their centers, right? So
Mm-hmm.
so for us, Sharon, we early on knew that if we had to continue to grow, then we had to make sure that we expand our geographical footprint as well. So today we have our employees supporting our customers in 48 different states. We pay taxes to over 48 states.
It's 48 states.
That's right. So we have our customers, across the U.S. And then
Mhm.
again, they have their own global centers. So they wanted us to go ahead and help them.
Okay.
And that's how we've continued to expand our presence, right? And it's all about how can we help our customers and provide that 24/7 support, right? It's all about that 24/7 delivery approach and support. And for that, we had to, make sure that we moved with our clients, local to national to global.
Wow.
I must say that journey has been great, Sharon.
Yeah. I want to get into your acquisition strategy in
Mhm.
just a moment. But let's now talk about the other side of you, because you have some beautiful daughters. And so how, our listeners are going, how in the world is she wife, mother, and boss? And tell us, how do you balance that? I'll never forget a conversation we had. You were out of town and your daughter was playing soccer, I think, and injured herself.
Yeah.
And you were mama bear for sure, trying to figure out how to get on the first thing smoking to get back to your child. How do you balance that all out and do what you do?
So this is what it is, right, Sharon? People talk about work-life balance. I would talk about work-life integration, right? So
Mm,
it
okay.
is. It is. I think there would be some days when, I know for sure I won't be able to be home that day because, I would need to be there with my team attending certain conferences or be out there in another state attending some meetings. But must say I'm truly blessed because I have a very supportive husband and
Hmm.
the kids too. They've been seeing that, early on, right? And but the thing that I do is, Sharon, I make it a point of being transparent with them and sharing the schedule with them that okay, hey, I just want to, just for instance, this week I'll be in St. Louis this week, right, on Friday, back only on Saturday. So I've already informed my daughters and my husband. So I think things work fine if they know it upfront.
Hmm.
But there have been times when I've asked my daughters this conversation, do you think, I need to be home and I need to take it easy? And they're like, no, you're fine, so, so I think I'm truly blessed,
Hmm.
have a very supportive husband, a very supportive team, right? I mean, there are
Hmm.
times when I can't make it, but they're there, with their head held high, representing Amcus and doing a fabulous job. So,
Hmm.
and then again, a great support system. I call it my tribe, right? Great friends, great support from the family. My daughter's nannies, who's been there with us for so many years. She's used to, being home when I take the flight at 5:30 a.m. Right?
Hmm.
So Sharon, I think everything is possible if
So it
we
sounds like you surround yourself with a great support structure in order to
great
help
support
you. Yeah,
structure, great support structure at home and at
and
work.
at work. I
And
think
I must
that's
say,
real
truly
key.
blessed. Yeah, that's key, right?
Hmm.
And at times, Sharon, I've also been, again, the mantra to success is transparency. Been transparent. There have been times when I've had the conversation with the client that, that day or that specific week, I won't be able to be there. But guess what? The team will be there in full support,
Hmm.
right? I'll be joining virtually because then again, like I said, it's all about work-life integration, right? So, I do take at least two small vacations with my family, and when I'm doing that, I'm there with them 100%. And I've start my day early in the morning at 5:30, and I'm done by 7:30. Then for 2 hours, it's with my family, right? And then once they're off to sleep, I'll kind of sneak in, check if there are any emails or something that is urgent that needs to be taken care of, and then that's it. So I've been able to, let me put it this way, I think I've mastered the art of striking the balance, between work and life. So, love it.
Oh, that's awesome. And so that's interesting. So you said you start your day at 5:30?
In the morning, that's right.
Okay, which means you get up at what time?
I usually I'm up by 5:15. Um,
Okay.
and there's so much of reading that needs to be done
Hmm.
before any meetings or travel and things like that. So carve out some time for that. Carve out about 25 minutes to exercise because then that's what keeps me going. Then I, wear the mama hat, and make it a point of drop. I am, I make some intentional decisions. Like I prefer driving and dropping my daughter to school because that is my
Your
time,
time.
my daughter,
Hmm.
right? And
Hmm.
again, as a working mom, don't go through that guilt of, I was not able to spend time with her in the morning. So I carve out that 15-20 minutes, driving her to school. And then from there, I'm straight, out here to work. And,
Hmm.
I usually leave the office at around 7:30. And then it's time with my family.
Hmm.
And then back to, some important work and call it off my day at around 10:30, 11. Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Um, just a little bit more about um, your growth strategy. You made a conscious decision in terms of, I would imagine, in growing the enterprise, that in order to get to a certain size, I would imagine that you look at, I would imagine at some point, you look at capital investments, you look at different other strategies, and it sounds you grew organically, and then you looking at growth through acquisition. Can you talk about what that looks like, feels like, for you?
Yeah, so like I said, Sharon, for last couple of years, our growth was all organic, but the last recent few years, what we've done is we've infused in organic growth as well, where we've done strategic acquisition. And the reason for the strategic acquisition was, like I said, Sharon, earlier, we focused on building expertise within an industry segment. But then, for example, if we take an example of within the banking, financial, and insurance sector, we have a lot of great calls supporting the banking and financial customer base, right? And there were a lot of great projects that we were winning. There were a lot of MSAs that we were signing, even from a human capital management perspective. So both the project side as well as the staffing side, both of that was growing. But what we saw was that there was a lot of innovation, transformation, and modernization that was happening within the insurance sector as well. So what we were looking at was what can we do in order to replicate that within the insurance sector. And that's why we went ahead and acquired iTech Solutions in 2020, a company that provides solutions and services to all the Fortune insurance companies as a prime. So now we were able to so now we have a strong presence within not only the banking and financial services, but also a strong presence within the insurance sector. With that acquisition came the insurance customer base. With that acquisition came very good clients. With that acquisition came good people. And because there was perfect cultural alignment, integrating that with our company was easy. Prior to that, Sharon, we went ahead and acquired Orbit Cyber, which is an Ampcus cyber company. We were always focusing on providing IT security services, but Orbit Cyber not only focuses on IT security, but also focuses on OT security, which is operational technology. And I think it was perfect acquiring them because in today's day and age, look at the percentage of hacks and attacks that's happening, right?
That's I wanted to talk about that as well.
So Sharon,
Yeah,
just during the pandemic, right? If you think
right.
about nationally and globally, if you think about it, the percentage of cyber attacks went up by 300,000%.
Three
So
hundred thousand percent.
absolutely, right? So so
Mhm.
so so. We were always providing cybersecurity services, but then it was all about, okay, what more within the cyberspace can we provide to our existing customers, right? And that is why we went ahead and acquired Orbit Cyber. And then prior to that, we acquired Bravens, a very good company that provides solutions and services to the tech companies. And prior to that, we acquired UTS, a company that focuses on e-commerce. So if you see, all our acquisitions have been strategic, right? With that acquisitions, not only have we continued to expand our presence within a particular industry segment, but we've also been able to, all the solutions and services that we provided to our existing customers, we were able to take that to some of the companies that we acquired and their clients as well, right? So, and again, Sharon, like I said, with acquisition, that has also helped us to expand our geographical footprint, right? Because with acquisitions come the delivery centers, with acquisition comes the people, and when there's cultural alignment, believe me, that marriage is a perfect marriage. And must say, all of those acquisitions have been beautiful acquisitions. Very good people, great clients, and it's been awesome.
Wow. And here, what I can't wrap my brain around. With all that you have going on, you still put the kind of love and energy into giving back. When I look at the boards you sit on, the knowledge and wisdom that you share, the care you take to reach back and pull folks along, is just tremendous. Can you talk a little in our remaining minutes? Can you talk a little bit about your philosophy of giving back?
Yeah, Sharon. So it's not just me within the company, but all of us at Ampcus and Ampcus group of companies truly believe in doing well by doing good, right? Doing good for our employees, doing good for our clients, doing good for communities that we live and serve in. So from a philanthropy perspective, Sharon, we not only do business with other diverse businesses, but we also, have supported several other organizations so that they could go ahead and make a positive impact, nationally as well as globally. And I serve on several boards, including Capital Region Minority Supply Development.
Yay!
What a great organization, Sharon, and hats off to you. You've done a fabulous job of running this wonderful organization,
I
Sharon.
appreciate that. Thank you.
What a great way of bringing corporations and connecting them to members like ours, so that we could do business with them, right? So Sharon, from CRMSDC alone, right? We do a lot of business with other MBEs, wherever and whenever possible. We're intentional in all that we procure. We make it a point of procuring goods and services from other diverse companies. As I mentioned earlier, Sharon, in our conversation, I believe, when was it? A couple of months back, right? We spent over $22 million with other diverse businesses, right? So we're very intentional in all the work that we do. So because it's all about helping one another, supporting one another, because together, when we all march forward, we will continue to make a positive impact, right? And then again, Sharon, all of us here within Ampcus and Ampcus group of companies, we're not just thinking about today; we're thinking about generations to come, right? So we invest a lot. In mentoring not only startups but also helping and working with other organizations for different programs of theirs, right? Be it NMSDC's I program, which is Emerging Young Entrepreneur, or VBank's SEP, which is Student Entrepreneur Program, or 21st Century Leaders, where we and our leaders within the company take the time out to go ahead and have conversations with students. We talk about why tech, why STEM is important, right? What are some of the areas that they could focus on, and also talk about entrepreneurship, right? I think it's very, very important because again, we can't just be thinking about today. It's very important we think about our future leaders too, because they're the ones who would be taking it forward in the coming years, right? So there are different ways, Sharon, that we kind of plug in and try to do the best that we can. But it's not been. I would say it's all of us working together because we all truly believe in doing well by doing good.
Okay. Now you are our as we wrap up Women's History Month, telling her story. This has been an incredible story. Anything that you can share with those female bosses who are looking to grow an enterprise? Is there any kind of like parting advice? Because part of what you just said, it reminded me of what I always talk about is business is about relationships and turning those relationships into revenue. And so as you think back over the last 18 years or so, you've given us a lot of nuggets, but I don't know if the enterprise is how big the enterprise is going to get, but as you move forward, there is a Chinese saying that I've always loved, and it's like, if you want to know what's at the end of the road, ask someone coming back. And as you're coming back down this road, and what would your kind of like your parting words of wisdom be to other women-owned business owners?
So one I would say is, I want to leave behind with this quote: "Empowered women will always empower other women." So, I would say that one, continue to empower others, men and women. Second thing is, the message that I want to convey to women is, make sure that you surround yourself with amazing people, right? Remember, you're not alone in this journey. So if at any given point of time, if you come across any hiccups, talk to other women leaders. That's what I do, right? I've always made sure that I surround myself with great mentors as well. Pick their brain, because again, we don't have to be an expert in all fields, right? Pick their brain, and then march forward. Don't look back. I would say the message that I want to convey to all the women-owned businesses is now is the time, right? Look around. They're members of corporate America, agencies, and nonprofits, really working hard to ensure that we all women continue to grow, thrive, and succeed in our own fields, right? So. Surround yourself, be part of an ecosystem where you have great mentors, you surround yourself with good industry leaders, and you believe in yourself, and march forward positively. And remember, there's lots out there, so keep marching forward because the best is yet to come. Thank you.
Yes, yes, love that. Keep marching forward and believe in yourself. And thank you so very, very much for your time today and your words of wisdom. You're just incredible. You're an inspiration. Thank you for all that you do. And thank you for all that I know that you will continue to do. You're awesome. Thank you.
Sharon, I echo those comments. And I just want to say, I want you to know how much I adore and admire you. Salute you for all the great things that you do, Sharon. Bringing all companies like us, under one roof and getting us connected to one another. I know, as I serve on the board of this organization, I know how much hours you put in, Sharon. So I salute you for the person that you are. I salute you for all the great things that you do. And here's wishing you and CRMSDC all the very best and lots of success. And Sharon, congratulations on the 50th anniversary. More to come. So let's all work together and celebrate. And wishing you and your team the happy 50th anniversary.
Thank you, Ann. Thank you very, very much. And ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here, and you heard it from Ann Ramakumaran, I'm sorry. And as she has given us her time and given us how she has been successful. Ann, thank you so very, very much.
Thank you, Sharon. Thank you all.
So, wow, that was just incredible. And so we want to, as before we say goodbye, we want to be able to share with you and thank again Ann Ramakumaran for her time and effort today, taking time of her busy schedule. But I also want to thank some additional corporate sponsors, if you don't mind. And for those who are just listening to us, let me just run through some that we do have. And that's AARP, Allianz Science and Technology, AT&T, BAE Systems, BWI Thurgood Marshall Airport, the City of Baltimore, DC Department of Small and Local Business Development, Dominion Energy, the Ellison Group, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FRS, Financial Realty Services, the Hilton, Horseshoe Casino, Leidos, Lockheed Martin, M&T Bank, Maryland Governor's Office of Small Minority and Women Business Affairs, Mass Mutual, McCormick, Northrop Grumman, Parsons, Peapod, Prince George's County Office of Central Services, SAIC, Sodexo, Truist, United States Postal Service, University of Maryland Global Campus, Washington Gas, Metro, Zillion Technologies, and Zone. And as I shared earlier, and you just heard from Ann, we're celebrating our golden anniversary, and we have a host of events in store for you. To learn more about our programs, go to our website, which is www.crmsdc.org. And lastly, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Our moniker is at CRMSDC. And subscribe to our podcast and listen to us on Google, Spotify, or Apple. And so, again, it has been a tremendous month as we have told her story. And if you want to re-energize yourself, go back and listen to some of those awesome women that you see on your screen that we've had. Ann Ramakumaran, the Ellison Group with Nicole Parker, GBL Sales with Jermaine Bowles Leffridge, the president of TV One and Clio TV, Michelle Rice, Selena Cuff, president of Sodexo Magic, Mercedita, Rojas Murray, and April Richardson, DC Super Data Cakes, and Mercedita is Montage Marketing. I'm sorry. And so until we meet again, see you next time. Thanks.